Hey there, and welcome to the Bold Badass Business Show, where we bring you badasses from all over the globe. And today, tuning in from her 21-foot refurbished van, which happens to be in California right now. Is that right, Abigail?
Yes, it is.
In California, but she goes all over the place. We have the incredible, the wonderful, the inimitable Clarity Coach Abigail Rose Gazda. And you have to know that not only is she a publisher, but she's also a speaker, a coach, and a best-selling author. And Abigail is committed to helping unleash hearts to allow people full self-expression in this world. Abigail, I'm so excited to have you with us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I am honored to be here and excited to jam out with you.
We are going to jam. We're going to have fun. We're going to unleash hearts. We're going to unleash badasses into the world, because guess what? Our world needs the hearts that are open, and it needs badasses. Would you agree?
Yes, I was nodding in resonance. Yes, and just so appreciate a space to encourage that. That's what gets me very excited, is that we have created a container for it and that people are looking for it and tuning in. So just so excited.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And we are bringing the message, and the message is within each of you listening. So today you're in for a treat with Abigail. And I first want to ask you, Abigail, how did you realize, what was that moment where you realized, you know what? I know that my mission is helping people be fully unleashed with their hearts and fully self-expressed. Would you tell us more about that moment, that time?
Yeah, I want to distinguish two moments, I guess, because I've always been a leader, whether organized or unorganized, if you will. And so I decided I have a degree in physical education, health education with an endorsement in special education. And so this started much younger than it has since taken shape, right? Like I've always wanted to nurture people, and from my heart, from love, from caring. In a previous conversation we have had, for me, I never wanted people to feel outcasted. I never wanted people to feel like they didn't fit in, or that they were defunct in any way. And so I've always had this real inclusive character and passion that's driven me. And so I did go into education, and eventually I went into gym management because that was a continuation of my fitness passion as well. And then I was introduced to coaching. It had never occurred to me that there's this whole world of relationship and language that once I heard it made complete sense. And so that really pivoted who you're meeting today, and that desire to lead people, to care, to activate that in others. And I have this very distinct moment probably in the first year of my coaching career where someone asked what I am the possibility of. And I
Ooh,
said,
I love that question. What are you the possibility of?
yes.
Yeah,
And
question.
my business name fell out of my mouth. I am the possibility of hearts unleashed.
Oh,
Every heart will leave me a little bit lighter, a little bit more expressed. That's my commitment. And so, I mean, I was coaching, I had been getting my footing with coaching, and then it just took shape and took off.
I love that. Wow. What are you the possibility of?
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful that that came right out of your mouth. I'm the possibility of hearts unleashed.
Yeah.
It's such a great phrase, and it's really nice when you have a brand that you're so deeply, deeply, deeply committed to and invested in. And I feel like that is so with you, where Hearts Unleashed is really, brand is almost really just a superficial business word for your entire orientation and commitment to transformation on the planet.
Yes. Amen. And that is that.
And that is that. And so we said it.
Yeah.
We use these terms like USP, what's your unique selling proposition and what's
Yeah.
your UVP, your unique value proposition. But, the truth of the matter is, you all, if your heart isn't in it, there's nothing there. It's empty. It's like a cake with no icing, or it's like icing with no cake.
Yeah. And there's two perspectives on this, especially in today's social media world.
Mhm.
There's some people who can't make $1 with 1 million followers, and there's some people who can make $1 million with 1,000 followers, right? So it's not all about the tactic. Yes, to strategy. I love to jam out on strategy. And if the soul isn't there, the depth, the intimacy isn't there either. And so the other thing I wanted to point out is, particularly for people in our field, there are coaches, healers, intuitives, and then there are salespeople in this industry.
Oh, yes.
Selling coaching.
Yes.
Selling transformation.
Yes.
And that ain't it. It don't land. It's not, it will disintegrate.
It will disintegrate. I'm so glad you make that distinction. I always say to people, you're not in the business that you say you're in. You say you're a lawyer. Well, you're not really in the business of that. You're in the business of sharing, i.e. marketing that.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is really powerful, because it is true. There are people who are incredible salespeople, but when it comes to the fulfillment, it's not there. And I think fulfillment has the perfect double meaning. Like, they're not fulfilling what they promise, and there's no fulfillment because it's empty.
Yes.
It's empty. It's just vacuous. It's like you're walking into a black hole of business.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
Well, I have to ask this, Abigail, because I love the fact that you live in this refurbished, beautiful, very expensive, gorgeous van, and you just go all over. Tell us how that has been part of your journey as having your heart unleashed. How has it been to be able to unleash yourself in various places wherever this van can take you?
I'm so happy and so grateful, and every day is a new day, and it is not lost on me how fortunate I am, and that it's not luck, right? This is a complete decision. It is a complete lifestyle, is a complete choice. And I was born and raised in Indiana, just outside of Chicago, for 28 years. And so that I knew home. I did go to college, but then I ended up back at home. And I finally made the decision to move out to California. That was 2017. And so by uprooting myself, then the free bird, the wings spread, and it was kind of a constant evolution of that. I've lived in Oregon, I've lived in Arizona, I've stayed in Costa Rica for months on end, Mexico months on end, and I've been to many countries, but those were ones where I stayed a period where it was like living there. And I am so fond of, personally, I am so fond of going to places, being nobody, and being able to observe culture instead of go and like impose myself.
Exactly.
Just go be there, right? And another piece, business-wise, I have always had clients all over the country, all over the world. And there's something so special to me about visiting a client's hometown, getting a tour, seeing where they work, meeting their family, spending a day, spending an afternoon, having a couch session. Like those are so irreplaceable and so intimate. And part of the sustainability of my business is referral and retention, right? Yes to marketing. If you want any marketing questions, we could jam out, but the referral and retention is so good for me. And when anybody knows it's time to either take on some healing work or an up level, they know exactly who to call. And that I'll be at someone's book launch because I'm going to drive there, or I'm going to fly over. And I did live a flight and Airbnb life for a good amount of time before I really said, okay to this. And just one shameless plug is I do all of my van build videos and travel vlog on YouTube at The Adventures of Abigail.
Cool. So everybody check out The Adventures of Abigail, because you fit the cabinets and everything, and you did all of that
from scratch.
And it's amazing. Okay. So I don't know if this is possible, but if it is, can you give people a quick little tour? Just a quick little tour.
Listen, we cleaned up on camera.
And you know what? Here's the other thing, Abigail, is I recently interviewed somebody while I was on the Podcasters New Media Cruise who lives in her RV. And so we talked all about that. But since we were on the ship, we couldn't give a tour. But I love that you could give us a quick little tour.
No, I can just lift my little camera. There's my bed. It's got some of my office stuff on it. But I wanted it to be cute and cozy and aesthetic. And then again, kitchen behind me. There's
I love the color of the midnight, sort of midnight ocean blue.
Yes, that is the color of my soul.
I love that.
Yeah, so I'm very, very happy with it. And then what you can't see is I have this desk as wide as my arms down this way and like 3 feet deep, because I do spend a lot of time either on calls, producing content. So I have a big workstation because work is 50% of my life, and truly my passion too. It's no sacrifice. It's no compromise. And so I've got a nice spacious desk as well.
And you have these incredible cabinets and your fridge and everything is just perfectly organized,
I will tell you, I traveled in a camper. I did 35 states in 5 months I was in a relationship, and we were both coaches, and we did that. And that was fantastic. But it was a camper and a Toyota Sequoia. So it was 2 big rigs. And I loved that time of my life. But I chose a van because I didn't want that level of work in terms of 2 things. And I learned everything I liked and didn't like about living in a tiny space. And so my golf clubs are in the back. My rollerblades are in the back. Right? Like I have everything I need. I have boxes of books in the back. Like my life as I like it is built for that.
I love that. And it's 21 feet. So it's really the size of a C. Size, and you have a bathroom, and you have, I found it interesting that you actually shower at the gym, which makes sure that you go to the gym. That way you're going to go to the gym, because if you don't go, you don't get a shower.
That's right. That's right.
I need to take the bathroom out of my house.
That's right.
I'm going to close up all the bathrooms in my house, so I have to go to the gym. But that's fantastic. And when I was talking with you before, you had it open, that area that has the quilt there. You had it open, and you had the beach right there.
Yeah, all day, every day. I spend my winters in Southern California because I want nothing to do with the snow. The only time I want to be in snow is skiing. And so, 5 out of 7 days that back doors are open, and because I get great reception where I'm at the beach, and I take all my calls from there.
I think that's beautiful. And to hear the sound of the waves while you work.
Yes.
A dream of mine, definitely of my heart, is to have an oceanfront place where I can just sit on the balcony and conduct my business, write, read, talk to people, create content, broadcast, all of that. Well, I love that you've let your heart be unleashed with freedom. And I wonder, as you approach your life, we were going to talk about stop being hypnotized by societal success and harness your heart CEO. What are the highest values that a heart CEO has? If you're a heart CEO, what are the highest values?
I can tell you mine, which are authentic connection, hilarious joy, and hearts unleashed. Those I'm always, there's a great question for people who are designing their life is when they're any given moment, multiple times a day, decision making, is this in alignment with the life I'm committed to living? Right. And so is this authentic connection? Yes, no. Is this hilariously joyful? Like joyful, so joyful that all you can do is laugh, right? Like it's beautiful. If I'm hanging out, the fact that I can open my back doors to the ocean is hilarious. There's so much joy in that. And that there's moments that aren't joyful, right? And that we can still navigate through that. Anyways, going back to your original question about like the values of a heart-centered leader, of someone who's living their heart unleashed, to me, expression, authenticity, freedom, sovereignty, autonomy. I'm whether they are at the forefront, they're usually at least in the subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
And we're usually working for that, but not consciously. And that's where we catch some friction, is we're trying to also please people or live up to expectations or hit a quota or pay a bill.
Mm-hmm.
And so we detour from that alignment to get the job done. But I and it's always a work in progress. Checking in, am I compromising my values, my standards, just to check a box?
And first we have to know what it is, which is why I love that question so much that you shared at the beginning. What am I the possibility of? Yeah. What are your highest values? Yes. For those of you listening, to really ask yourself that. And you point out, Abigail, that the highest values for most people are just running around in the subconscious, and they're not bringing them up to conscious light. And so I think one of the first things we've got to do, if we want to become truly a CEO of our life, is ask yourself, what are my highest values, and actually pinpoint it to 5 or 6. Yeah. You've got it down to like 3 or 4. Yeah. And that's great. I knew freedom would be one of them.
Of course.
Freedom is huge for me, and a family of choice. Yeah. Kindness is huge for me. Lifelong learning, and health and spirituality. So I've narrowed mine to 6.
Fantastic.
But it should be 5 or 6 that you should be able to, if somebody pushed you against the wall and said, "What do you stand for?" They put a gun to your head, what do you stand for? Tell me now. Yeah. You should be able to have it roll out just like you did when you said, I'm the possibility of hearts unleashed. Yeah. So what is a heart CEO? What is a heart CEO, or someone guided? What else could somebody be guided by?
I'll answer your question with a question, because this is really for the listeners, right? Yeah. What is the most authentic expression of me is a version of that, but what is my most authentic expression of love?
What is my most authentic expression of love? Another juicy, licious question. Love that one. What is my most authentic expression of love?
Yeah, because when we are tapping into that CEO, that heart space, and what do I want? What do I care about? What's important to me? Those are all very important questions, because there's so much passion that is tucked away there. Mm-hmm. And we do tuck it away, again, to go pay a bill, to hit a deadline, to whatever our obligations are. We're not really, number one, asking and activating and unleashing. We're not doing that. And then, of course, we're not integrating that into our lives. We unconsciously, or maybe consciously, see them as separate or opposite, or that one must cost the other. So for me to be free, I have to run away. No, that's not true. Not all transformation is flip the table on your life, get a divorce, leave your kids, leave your job. That's not the end game, right? Yeah. Nothing about your life has to change for how you relate to your life to change. And so you can be free in your day job, or within your family, or staying where you are, or traveling, whatever. It's not really about the circumstance. And that's where people get confused. My circumstance is what says who I am. And that's not true.
So what I'm hearing, let me know if this is appropriate or correct, is I'm hearing that it's not the circumstance, that you find yourself in. It's the consciousness with which you live in that circumstance. Yeah. And operate and flow, or don't flow, in that circumstance. Yeah. Is that true? Is that what you're getting at?
I think you you summarized it very well. And then to distinguish being in your head versus being in your heart, right? That's why the circumstance,
12 inches in the
yeah,
world,
exactly.
right?
Exactly. And that's why your circumstance doesn't matter, but how you think about it, how you talk about it, how you view it, all that can get really weird if you're only up here all or 90% of the time.
So let's drill it down for everybody, if that's okay, because I love to just drill down with stuff, real stuff in our real lives, you know.
Yes.
That so when's a time that you realized you were creating a story about something that you really didn't want, and that story wasn't creating a consciousness of freedom and hearts unleashed? When's the time? Because we share this. We share our foibles. We share our peccadillos. We share it all. You know, we share our failures. Even though I don't really believe in failure, I just believe in redirection. But when's a moment that you realized, oh boy, I'm really out of sync with my heart, CEO?
Okay. 2021, I had already been coaching for 4 or 5 years. And I also, though, was newly sober. So I'm now 5.5 years, no drugs, no alcohol. And thank you. And where it's just natural, and not in a condemning type of way, but alcohol is so common. It's so acceptable, right? So every party has alcohol, a lot of gatherings, the reason is alcohol, you know, and a lot of conversations are based around that. And so as I started my sobriety journey, I found myself very separate, separate is the best word probably, but I wasn't relating to a lot of people for isolated. Yeah. And so it was an interesting time because I was afraid people wouldn't like me anymore, of course. And I was liking me. I was enjoying this new season of my life, but a lot of people openly shared that they missed an older version of me. And that, of course, hurt. It hurt a lot. And so but I then had resentment. I was mad at them for not supporting me or wanting, caring or cheering me on, and then encouraging this older behavior. And so I remember thinking, I'm going to say it two ways. I don't have to love what my people love to love my people.
I don't have to love what my people love to love my people.
Yeah. And flip that. My people don't have to love what I love to love me. The love was always there. It really was. But I was taking away someone that they were very fond of. I was taking one of my identities away. Yeah, right. Life of the party, always fun, always a good time. And so that evolved a little bit later to, if I want to be seen new, I have to be willing to see people newly also.
Without judgment.
Yeah. How come I'm right? What gives me the right to, like, okay, I'm new now, respect this whole new I'm presenting.
You have to get sober too.
Yeah. Well, and that they can stay just the same.
Right.
And I don't have to judge it.
And you know what? That's very unusual. I have attended a number of closed AA groups, and those are no, I mean open AA groups where anyone can go. Because I used to date someone who had an issue with drugs and alcohol, and he had gotten sober, and I would go with him. I made friends. I loved it. It's a spiritual way of living.
Yes.
But what I heard really is, I mean, those folks who had gotten sober, they would go and get each other at each other's houses and like drag each other out if somebody wasn't at the meeting. They were going to change you. And what you're saying is altogether different, to really let people be where they are. Without judgment.
And, you know, again, that was year 1 to year 5. I am I have the greatest gift of enjoying the time with my family, of appreciating every minute I get to spend with them.
Yeah.
Everyone's aging and I get to, we're all aging, myself included.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the fact that our time is so limited and we don't know when the last time is like, that's what there is to focus on, not what
Yes.
they're all going to laugh at me or like whatever else we come up with.
Yeah, so many things we tell ourselves that, we
Yeah.
have this societal voice that, what Don Miguel Ruiz calls the illusion in the Four Agreements, which is one of my favorite all-time books. I love that book. I could just read it over and over and over, and I get something new every time.
Yeah.
But he talks about the illusion, and we're living in the illusion, that the whole industrialized revolution created an illusion of the 40-hour work week. And it's become, for Americans, 50, 60, 70-hour work week.
Yeah.
It's really unhealthy. That's just one of the illusions. We've lived under the illusion that you have to love somebody and get married and have children and blah, blah, blah. We've lived under so many illusions. We've lived under illusions as women that we needed to just take care of everyone else instead of taking care of our own needs. What are some of the other prevalent illusions that you see that we're being hypnotized by unless we wake up?
I want to blanket it with achievement, whatever that might be, like whatever whatever we were conditioned to believe is achievement or is success, that we just chase that. And so it can look, if you were born in academia, that looks very different than if you were born blue collar, right? Like what achievement looks like. And so, and then the illusion of the American dream and whatever that means, or a corporate success. And, social media now is a whole new dream to dream, or illusion to dream. So, well, and I love presenting unconventional, right? Like, I've had a boyfriend for 3 years. I live on the road and I live part-time. Like I'll go visit with him and then I leave and it works, and he travels for work and that works for us. And I remember someone saying, well, what does he have to say about you heading out for 4 months? I'm like, nothing. What do you even mean he has something to say? Right? Like, and it's not the quote unquote norm. It's not whatever we've shaped it to be and agreed upon that that's the right way to do things or the right order. In fact, we were talking about that American dream or get married, have kids. Like there's also certain orders we're supposed to do things. And that is all an illusion as well. And I love to dismantle that, because I have clients who are 50, 60, 70 years old who look at me as a 30 something and say, gosh, I wish I knew what you did when at the age you do. And said, yeah, and not like that wasn't your timeline. And here you are right now. So just as much as possible, just dismantling as much as we can about what should happen or how it should go.
Even the way we dress, every bit of that, how we dress, how we present ourselves. I remember, I keep thinking about this group for some reason, this group of financial executives I spoke for. They've really been in my head. And I was going to wear my one pinstripe. But then I said, no, I need to wear this unusual jacket with all this embroidered stuff on it. And I was just so different from what they were used to, but they loved it. And in terms of how I presented myself and also what I presented, because I used improv comedy to reach them, and they loved it. We've got to just be determined, even when we feel scared, right? Even when we feel afraid that we may be judged, as you were afraid going back into situations, I'm sure, where your friends were thinking, oh, come on, have a beer, whatever. Yeah, just have some wine. To go being afraid of being judged. We've got to let go of that in service to our heart.
Yep. I have one short example is my hand tattoo here, which goes quite a ways, right?
Wow.
And I got it when I was 30, and I had someone say to me, well, okay, prepared to be unemployable. And I had already been coaching successfully for 3 or 4 years, and I didn't laugh at him, but I laughed inside. I was like, I never intend to work for
I know, I saw a picture of you, a headshot that says you've got a shirt on that says unemployable, and I was like, yes.
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 And it's such a cosmic joke, but you had said something that made me remember that story because it just only clarified and set me in motion more. Like, yeah, duh. I have no intentions.
I'm employed by me. I'm
Yeah,
employed by my heart. I am my
that's
heart
right.
CEO, young man.
That's right.
You don't understand. Unemployable is one of my favorite values.
Yes, yes.
That is hilarious.
Mhm.
I've always said that when you're self-employed, what are you going to do? Fire yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you going to
Some
do? I
some
got a
people
really
do.
bad boss. I've got this awful boss.
I
They're
love making the joke. Well, my boss is okay with it, so that's my
my
favorite.
boss is okay. My boss gave me the time off.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, it is one of those things, entrepreneurs, usually one of the highest values you'll find for an entrepreneur, small business owner is freedom.
Yeah.
And that freedom lifestyle that everybody's talking about now. And I do see some holes in that too, though,
Yeah.
Abigail. And I'd love to hear what you say about that, because I see holes in terms of, we think it's all going to be a freedom lifestyle, that suddenly we're jetting off here and we're going there and we're going the other place. But truth of the matter is we're still working.
And sometimes harder than the average bear.
Exactly. Sometimes 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you see as the holes that what people are not talking about in the freedom lifestyle?
I made 3 notes to answer. One is freedom and flow. I think a huge important part for entrepreneurs, especially creatives, anyone who resonates with that, that we want to only create in flow. And I love that for us. And sometimes inspiration is generated, not naturally occurring, right? By doing our wellness practices, by having structure and routine. And so my second note here is feminine. I want to answer from the feminine perspective of our energy and enthusiasm varies every 4 weeks of the month, all 12 months of the year. So the idea that if there's any female not structuring her business as an entrepreneur around her menstrual cycle and energetic and hormonal flow, you are at a huge disadvantage. And I'll say one other piece. I wrote structure. So most of us were raised in a school system, in seats, in rows, staring forward, being told what to do, and then following what to do. And we proceeded to do that for 12 to 16 some years. And then we probably went into a job where we also had an authority figure telling us what to do. And then we decide to go off on our own. And either we feel the vast void of no authority figure telling us what to do, and we feel clueless and lost and aimless, even if we have passion, or we unconsciously, accidentally assign authority to someone who it is not merited. To someone or something. A lot of us in this day and age assign it to the algorithm, as if it's the algorithm's fault that we are or are not performing the way we see or want. So we assign authority if we don't assume authority.
If we don't assume full responsibility, 100% responsibility for our lives.
Right. And so structure is key, because for most of our lives, we've been told where to be, when to be there, how to be there, what to wear, how to look, what to say, what not to say, right? And so then all of a sudden, we never really, no one goes, congratulations, kid, you're the adult in your life now.
Right.
So we're still operating from this, tell me what to do mindset. I can't tell you how many first 1 to 3 year entrepreneurs say, they hire me as a coach saying, tell me what to do. I'm like, absolutely not. That's not what we're doing here. And I usually nail it in a discovery call. They don't get to, call 3 and they're saying that, but it's just like, you're the one. And most people look at the social media version of entrepreneurship and say, I want that. I could do that. That sounds easy. It is not. It is just as much work.
Yes, it is.
as working a 9 to 5. We're just usually operating in a different time structure, right?
And it's even more work.
Yeah, because you're sourcing your own income.
Yes.
And the pressure, the nerves, the scare, and then you're activating all of the things that have laid dormant within you: scarcity, fear of abandonment, whatever other fear of being seen and heard, whatever else, and your inner critic has said in a hushed tone is now got a megaphone.
Yeah. It's like, you are sucky.
Oh there.
Oh, there, sucky business owner.
Yep.
You think you're a badass? Ha,
Yeah.
ha, ha.
Yes. And so we have to overcome that and be calm, cool, and collected.
Calm, yes. And our nervous systems can get really frazzled. I know that I went through a period this past year when there was a lot going on. Granted, my daughter was 18 and she got pregnant and she was excited about it, but it's a whole different thing. And she was in school at the time, and just all this stuff happened, one thing after another. And I found myself just like flat on my bed saying, oh my God, I feel like somebody ran over me with a big Mercedes truck. And I feel like I can't move. And I really have been in a state of recovering since then. And then the birth of her baby, which there was some trauma involved too, because of an epileptic seizure that she had. And we had to, there was just trauma. Right. And I've been sloughing this off for a while and really letting my body rest. But in the entrepreneurial journey, if you don't have someone else who has another income, just think about it. You are, as you put it, sourcing your income.
Yeah.
And that is a big deal, especially if you have mouths to feed, furry or otherwise.
Yes. And you got to show up. You feel flat on your back and you still have to show up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And especially if you're presenting as a leader, you have to show up as a leader, showing up. And I believe in authentic expression and transparency, but there's also privacy involved in like what you're going through, but you got to show up.
And yes, and show up. And I believe, we can share. We can share. We don't need to share all the gory details at all.
Right.
But we can share what we're going through. And I think that at some level, and what I think that really does is it helps people understand that this is not entrepreneurial journey is not something you do when you're ready, when everything is perfect.
Right.
It is messy.
Yes,
it is messy.
Yeah.
Super messy. Sometimes it looks like, a bomb went off.
Yeah.
You're
reminding me too, for me, I'm as much a creative as I am an entrepreneur. And, I was doing some 2026 and 2027 planning, and I have a huge project that will come live at the end of 2026. To want to work on your future projects while also maintaining and sustaining starts to feel like, oh my, like so many directions, so many thoughts. To be able to nurture the creative part of you, the self-expression, the progress, improvement, evolution, while also keeping your feet really firmly planted on the ground in the business structure you've generated to support you, is you have to be multifaceted and multi-passionate.
I love that. Multi-passionate. There's a new term. We just made a new term. You made a new term, Abigail. Multi-passionate. Yes. And multifaceted, because we're the ones doing, at least at the beginning, until you get some budget or you can do some really savvy bartering with someone. At least at the beginning, we're doing operations, we're doing management, we're doing customer service, we're doing social media management, social media reputation management. We're doing every piece of it, marketing, and we're supposed to also be the CEO who visions where we're going. So we're not just, as you put it earlier, stuck in, oh, I got to pay this bill, or, oh, I got to put out this fire over here. I forgot to call that client back. we're putting out so many fires and being distracted
Yeah.
so often. And it's so important to align and realign and realign and realign. And did I say realign?
You did. And add one more, because it's a daily thing. Daily, weekly.
Daily. It's a moment by moment thing.
It is, in order to not become a victim of your own creation also, because you did start it from passion, you did choose it from passion, and it's work. You have to be okay with and prepared for the fact that it is work also. It's just work you'll like to do, but it's still work.
So you're speaking my language. I had a client who decided that she didn't do the work. Let's just put it that way. And then it was my fault that my coaching program was the issue. Very typical that, when somebody is in victim consciousness, you have to do the work to get the fruits. You have to do the labor. There is no farmer that I know of who doesn't have to till that soil, fertilize that soil, first of all, till it, go out, tend the plants, go out and harvest. It is a long cycle. Yeah. So to get that heart's harvest, what are some of the essentials that you want the listeners to know? You want to get that heart's harvest of being your own fully heart unleashed, heart CEO, heart-centered, heart-aligned, multi-passionate CEO. What are a couple of essentials you'd like to give us before we start to wrap up?
Yeah. I would say, since we know that this audience is particularly business-minded and focused, I want to start with consistency, and that will mean different things to different people. And I don't want to use the word discipline.
Thank you. Thank you for not using the word discipline.
I want to offer 5 different words. Dedication.
Nice.
Determination.
Beautiful.
Declaration.
Yes.
And devotion. I know I'm forgetting.
I'm so glad you put devotion. I was going to add devotion if you didn't.
No. Yes to that. And that there's another word, and it's escaping me at the moment, but that's sufficient.
About daring.
Sure. You have to be that. And that we ought, discipline to me is so constricting, because I was a collegiate athlete. I know discipline in my sleep. I know how to persist it through discomfort, and that has cost me a lot of things too. I learned how to rest. I learned how to be gentle. I learned how to care for myself. I learned how to stop abandoning myself. And so it's very different than discipline, right? But devotion, if I am devoted to something, of course I'm going to show up for it week in and week out. No doubt.
The spiritual aspect of that this is really a calling. It's a divine calling, what you're doing. And that word calling, vocation, the word vocation actually comes from vocare, which is calling. So I feel like when you are leading a freedom lifestyle, as we talked about, which isn't always completely free in a sense, because it is also work, but it is coming from that place of devotion to something bigger, to a bigger vision.
Yes. And there are times where you do feel small, or you feel unclear, and this is beyond you, and that's why you would get back up again. And it's gotten me up again, many, many times. And there are times that feel like you're walking in the darkness and you can't see to the other side. But in fact, to me, the faith of entrepreneurship, I have felt so many times that I've been asked to take the step forward, and it doesn't feel like the ground has formed underneath my foot yet. So that stomach drop feeling, that's what
Indiana Jones moment.
Yeah, it feels like that so many times, especially when you're being called higher, or to the next level, to the next expression, to the next iteration of what you're offering. And God calls you higher, and he's like, more of this and less of that. And you're like, I've shaped my whole identity or business or concept on this. Now what? And you step forward, and I could never have forced my hand at the life that manifested. A lot of it was faith driven. A lot of it was unclear, but what stayed clear was my conviction in who I do sense myself to be and what I feel called to do. And so it continues to take shape around me.
And you know what's so fabulous about being an entrepreneur, and you know, I know you've been in business for 9 years, and congrats on that. And there are always new iterations. There are always new things. You know, my Make It Happen mastermind came to me when we had just gone into lockdown.
Yeah.
And I got quiet and I said, okay, God, what do I do next? What do you want me to do? I wasn't in a place of fear at all. I was in a place of how do I serve?
Yeah.
Because right now I'm not going to be putting hands on people and teaching Reiki in person and, you know, getting up in their faces for the attunements. No, that's not going to happen. And the answer I got was, do the mastermind you've been writing about and talking about for a decade.
Yeah.
But I had never slowed down enough to do it, and the time and space was provided. But my point being that there's always another iteration. You know, when that Indiana Jones, that great scene where, and so many people talk about this, but I still love that scene where he goes, he's on this cliff and then he steps out and the stone appears, but he couldn't see the stones. All he could see is this great big fall. And then he steps out, another stone appears. I think when you're your heart CEO, it's a momentary decision, isn't it?
Yeah.
Am I in alignment with my calling? What am I being called to do next?
Yeah. Listening. A leader takes a breath before they take a step. And listening.
That is so profound. A leader takes a breath before they take a step. Okay, that is a writer down, or y'all get out your pen. A leader takes a breath before they take a step. So mic drop on that one. So great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And it's so we don't act from those fear places, from our mind. We take a breath, we get down here into the heart. Okay, clarity. Whether clarity in faith, right? Like not clarity in sight all the time, or certainty, but that it will work out because this is what I'm led to do. Take the next right step.
Beautiful. Wow, what an incredible interview this has been, Abigail. I've really enjoyed it. And we're at that point that I love in the show where you get to contribute something to the freebie vault. And we put this into the vault. You don't need to give the URL where it's housed, because we put that all into the vault so that our listeners can go in and they can avail themselves of any of our episodes and avail themselves of the gift that my amazing people like you so generously bestow upon us. And so everybody get a pen, you know, stop walking the dog, pull over from, you know, stop driving and write down bit.ly/free from Dr. B. Let me repeat it, bit.ly/free from Dr. B, which is all one word, DRB, free from DRB. And when you put in your email and your information, you'll be able to go in and you'll be able to find this episode. You'll know exactly how to get in touch with Abigail, and you can enjoy her freebie. Now, Abigail, I think I forgot to tell you you would have this opportunity. So if you want to talk about it, you can.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I want to mention 2 offers and see what you think is the most aligned for your audience, and or both, because I think that's fine also. But I have
both.
Yeah, I have a numerology guide so that people can find out what year of the 9-year cycle they're in. This is great for entrepreneurs because it might be time to be closing and completing, or maybe you're in that birth, rebirth, and starting, or in the middle. So the 9-year numerology cycle, to where you can identify what year you're in and then a brief description of each year, is fantastic. And I'd love to extend the offer to my 5 C's to writing a captivating book.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a 40-ish minute recording, and it really breaks down the 4 main parts of a book. my leaders, my coaches, all of these folks here, entrepreneurs who might maybe want to write a memoir or a guidebook or
Yes.
something, that is going to be a great starting point for the steps to take, getting clarity on organizing the book, on the storyline, all that stuff.
Beautiful. So we're going to offer both the numerological assessment, because that is super important. It's always good to know what year you're in.
Yeah.
And we're also going to offer the 5 C's for starting your book. That is fantastic. And thank you for your generosity with these. So it's that time where we're about to wrap it up. And I really, it's kind of when you've gone to a slumber party and you've had so much fun, and then everybody's leaving and you're sad, and it's like, oh, we can't talk all night anymore. But we do have to wrap. And I would just ask you, what is one final thought that you want to share with everyone about stopping being hypnotized by the societal success, which isn't success, and harnessing your heart's CEO? What's one final thought you'd like to leave with the listeners?
I can't remember if it was our conversation a moment ago or this one. You had quoted Shakespeare, "To thine own self be true," which, if I can celebrate, you joined us on the Hearts Unleashed podcast. You had shared about finding your purpose and permission and prosperity. And I would love your listeners come visit with us. The reason I say so is because a lot of us, myself included, got part of the vision, and then we may have been influenced externally. And so we started off in a direction that took us farther than out of alignment, right? And so knowing what you want, knowing who you sense yourself to be, and head in that direction, and gracefully and thankfully decline any invitation off course, right? Because I set out to be this big thing, and it wasn't true to who I was. And I had to recalibrate. Who am I? What's important to me? What do I want? And head back in that direction. So, to thine own self be true. We'll stay with that one today.
And I think there are a million ways to be a heart CEO. The question is, what is your way? Yes. Listener, what is your way? Well, Abigail, you are the Clarity Coach, and we can certainly see why from this episode. And I want you all to go into the freebie vault and get those incredible gifts that she's given us. And you can be part of her world. Be part of the Hearts Unleashed community. And, this is really a movement, Abigail. It's a movement. Hearts Unleashed. Let's see people just hearts unleashed all over the world. Isn't that a vision to hold on to? So as we wrap, you all, I know you may not feel like you're a bold badass today. Maybe you've had a hard day. Maybe you had a customer from hell. Maybe your dog had diarrhea all day. I don't know. But whatever's happening, remember, you aren't the circumstance, as we talked about earlier. You are response able. You are the person who can respond from a place of power. And you are a bold badass. I know you are, because if you weren't, you would not have stayed with us this entire time. You wouldn't have tuned in to the Bold Badass Business Show. So I look forward to seeing you, bold badasses, back here at 4:30 p.m. next Friday. And until then, onwards with your heart unleashed.
Thank you.